Hey, hi everybody. It's Bill MacPhee back with you with Mental Wellness Today presents Recovery Blog with Bill MacPhee. Welcome everybody. I'm actually in Atlanta, Georgia today. As you know, I told you in a previous video that I was going to do some speaking, and I actually was out in Wichita, Kansas on Sunday and spoke at a candlelight ceremony for kickoff mental illness week in October. And then basically today or last night I was in Atlanta, Georgia doing a presentation as well for Carol Reynolds. But before I introduce Carol Reynolds, I just want to let you know today is the October 9th, 2014, and we're going to talk a little bit about cottages on Mountain Creek. Basically, Cottages on Mountain Creek is a sort of a rehabilitation unit housing with many houses, and I'm a little bit affiliated with this. I do some coaching for some of the clients here. And actually, before I introduce Carol, I just want to give you a little background of how I met Carol. Basically, 3 years ago, she invited me to her annual conference, and I did a keynote speaking on living with schizophrenia. And after that presentation, I went to Carol and said, if you ever want any help with your clients or your programs or anything like that, feel free to ask. And we got talking because I'm all about recovery, and this is what the Cottages on Mountain Creek is about as well, recovery. So really, what happened is that I shared with them some of my knowledge, and we sort of had a little bit of a team effort planning here and everything like that. So I come back the last 2 years, and we're really excited to be here in Atlanta. And now I'm just going to introduce Carol. Carol is the owner of Cottages on Mountain Creek. So Carol, give me an introduction of yourself.
Hi, Bill. Good morning. Hope you're having a great morning so
Yeah.
far. As Bill said, we met a couple of years ago through a conference that we sponsored for the Cottages on Mountain Creek. The Cottages on Mountain Creek was developed about 4 or 5 years ago. We started when my daughter was diagnosed with schizophrenia. And I have knowledge of the real estate industry through my appraisal practice and decided that after looking and looking and looking for housing and programming, that a new product needed to be developed. So that started the Cottages on Mountain Creek.
Yeah.
We're now 5 years going and have enhanced our programming. And the first enhancement was the Bright Future program, which Bill developed, and is a program that helps us, as Bill says, helps the residents regain self-esteem, self-reliance, self-assurance, and prepares them to work through vocational rehab and get acclimated back into society.
Yeah, so it's a full-fledged program, and
Full-fledged
just a
program.
little bit, obviously, we want to talk a little bit. Carol, you have you're totally licensed, and you have staff here. Talk a little bit about your staff.
We have, well, let me talk about the licensing, the independent living, and the assisted living. So we're fully licensed by the state of Georgia as an assisted living facility, which provides for 24/7 care and oversight. We're different than senior housing in that instead of providing activities of daily living, we provide the therapies and the vocational rehab program. The residents go off site for that through Creekside Services, which is our case management and care management program. We are on a block of 14 homes, of which we have 7, and some of those homes are independent living. They do not have staff during the night hours, but are involved. The residents are involved in the program all day long, which is essentially the same program as the 24/7 residents, except that they do not have the 24/7 oversight.
Right. Now you also have social workers, and you
We
also
have
have a physician, correct?
we have a relationship with a psychiatric team. We have a master level counselor who works with our residents with the Bright Future program, group therapy, individual therapy, 2 psychologists, and then CNAs, the normal med techs and whatnot.
Right.
And then on a contract basis, we have all the adjunct therapies, the culinary therapy, music, fitness. Our program is built around total health and wellness. We Bill was here for our conference again this year, and during part of that program, Dr. Banoff, who's a psychiatrist here in Atlanta, gave a speech on alternative ways to help the medicines work better. And part of his speech this year was on supplements, physical therapy, exercise, cycling, and how all of that interacts with the brain and helps the brain work better to help the medicines work better.
Right.
So our program is based on that as well, not just the clinical and adjunct therapies, but the whole body. We have organic gardens. We do a lot of work with culinary and physical.
And before I get into the Bright Future program, because we mentioned that a couple times here, but Carol says, she has a hard time stepping back, and she's like a mother to all the residents here, and like that. So, but anyways, we mentioned the Bright Future program, and we came up with this as basically my philosophy of recovery. And if you've been watching the blog, you'll know that my definition of recovery is when you wouldn't want to be anybody else but who you are today. So we developed this. That's the goal, and around with the Bright Future program and how the Cottages on Mountain Creek have bought into it is that basically there's 6 pillars, and the 6 pillars are basically, well, first of all, uh, before you get into the 6 pillars, it's very important to understand your illness or your disabilities or whether you have schizophrenia, depression, obsessive compulsive disorder. And before we get into the first pillar, let's talk a little bit about that. Some of your clients here, the majority of your clients here, Carol, what they range, they have a range of diagnosis. Is that correct?
They do. Primarily schizophrenia, bipolar, major depression, OCD. I would say they're the 4 primary diagnoses.
Right. So then in the Bright Future, what we do is, if you're not familiar with it, is that the first pillar is basically where we get hope, because we need to really have hope. And where we say that is that you have to believe in a higher power and believe that there is a God and God is for you and not against you. And that's where you get that hope from, because we all need that hope, especially when we're dealing with mental illnesses. And then the second pillar is on relationships, and relationships are basically the goal there is to bring out the best in people, to encourage, become an encourager. And here at the Cottages, there's a lot of stuff around relationships because it's in the community. And maybe you can talk about that with the interaction between the clients here and all around relationships.
We try to build a team effort, and we work with that team effort through vocational rehab. All our residents join in on volunteer projects and programs that are offered throughout the Atlanta community. We're out and about in the community 4 days a week, and this is again wrapped around the Bright Future program. So they learn how to assist each other, help each other, take care of each other, and watch out after each other, and also build that teamwork that helps people get better and be able to work in a
Exactly, because with relations, it's very important to realize that nobody is an island. Nobody does it themselves, and we need help, and we need people to step in and advocate and help us as well.
And actually, we have found over the last 18 months that it's the vocational rehab program that helps our residents move forward.
Yeah. So then the other pillar that we talk about is family, and the goal of family, and it not necessarily has to be your blood relatives or anything like that, but it's just basically your family, your extended family, who you want to consider your family. And the goal in family is to create a sense of belonging and to really make people feel important and their worth and things like that. And talk a little bit about, and Carol mentions with the Cottages on Mountain Creek, you have participation from families. They come and visit,
Yes.
and you have close contact with the families and that and create that sense of belonging. Talk a little bit about that with the families of people who are staying here.
Yes, about approximately half of our residents are from out of state and half are from in-state. So our families do come and visit. I guess as opposed to other operations throughout the country, we do not restrict when the parents can visit or not visit, which is a fine line because sometimes our residents do need that time away. They need time to learn to, as Bill says, love themselves. So it is a fine line, but we interact with the families all the time. We're talking to them all week long, emailing, texting, So we have constant communication.
Right. Now, the other thing now the what are we on? The fourth pillar is basically on physical health and mental health. And we put that in one because they go hand in hand. And we talk about what with the physical health, the four things is basically the goal in physical and mental health is to so that we want to live as long as possible and as healthy as possible. And when we look at the physical aspect of, basically getting in shape or the thing is basically on eating the right things and portion control and exercising, and then the support and the planning, and then with mental health, the idea of getting people stable, whether it need with medication or stable in that way, and then work on uh, the psychological and building a brighter future within that physical health and mental health. There they go hand in hand. So talk a little bit about that. You have a chef on board,
Yep.
and you do activities, and we try to work on physical and mental health. So talk a little bit about that.
Again, that's our whole wellness program. And I will say I'm a type A personality. So when I started the cottages, I said, okay, everyone's going to eat all this healthy food. No Cheerios. No, I shouldn't say that. But no processed foods. So
I had a banana yesterday when I came in the house. I was looking for chips, but I couldn't find any.
so, so I had to learn that it's a baby step at a time. So now our residents do eat much, much better. They complain that I won't cook fried chicken, so I might give them fried chicken. It's been 3 years. I might give them fried chicken, but they've learned. They've learned that we really don't prepare anything with sugars, low salt, and we don't use well maybe for breakfast butter, but all cooking is with the good oils. And again, that goes back to how your body processes the foods you eat and works with the exercise that you do during the day. We're lucky in that our block of 14 homes, of which we have 7, has a hill on it, and it's a fairly good hill. So we have a built-in exercise program right on our block because they have to walk up and down the hill every day, 5, 10, 15 times. So they're getting their workout.
So that's good. That's great for the physical wellness. Now let's talk a little bit about the mental wellness. Now we've talked about you have professional staff. Talk a little bit about the one-on-one, the care, the that when it comes to you have availability to hospitals that if people relapse or need to go into hospital and different things like that. Talk about the mental aspect of the mental health there.
We have by default, and it just happened by chance that we are in a incorporated city of Sandy Springs that is part of Fulton County, which is a very large county. It's the city of Atlanta is in Fulton County, so it's a very large county. You can imagine how difficult it would be to work with that large county when it comes to crisis management and 1013s and whatnot. Because Sandy Springs is a small municipality, we only have 14 detectives in our little city, and they know us. They all know us, and they have come over time to respect our opinions. And when we do have residents 1013 themselves, and sometimes we have to order a 1013.
Explain what 1013 is. A lot of times our viewers maybe are all across the world. So
okay, so a 1013 is when a resident is in medical crisis and needs to be transported to the hospital for either medication changes or stabilization. Sometimes the medications stop working and it happens quickly and they have to go to the hospital. So in the United States, that's called a 1013 when the crisis team or the police come in. And in order to be 1013 in the United States, you have to either be of danger to yourself or danger to others. So it's always very dramatic and a very hard process to 1013 somebody, but is sometimes necessary and helps the resident. And so we have built a relationship with the crisis team and with the police, and our director of operations now has a very good relationship, and they say when Shakira's here, and she tells us, then we know what to do.
Yeah,
so,
very good, very good.
So it's and we're also a little bit different in that we are urban. So especially our independent living residents have access to everything within a mile and a half of our property. So they don't feel closed in. It is a residentially based environment, and when they've proven to be trustworthy, they're allowed to walk up to the avenue. They walk to the library, the grocery store, and so they have that freedom as
Right.
they progress in their
Right.
illness.
Now, the next part in the philosophy of recovery, and again, our definition of recovery is when you wouldn't want to be anybody else but who you are today, and that's kind of the goal of the cottages, and we strive for that. The other pillar, the next pillar, the fifth pillar, is based around it's based around career, vocation, or volunteering. And and so many times it's very important in this aspect of that. I know that I went through it. Is that a lot of times people just have so much time on their hands. They have no structure and so much time, and it's just not proper. It's just very difficult to be filling that time. That's what you need. You need structure to begin with. And what in this pillar, what we do with vocation, career, and we look at people's strengths and their weaknesses. And the goal there is to find something to do that we have passion for and that we truly love to do. And that's what we try to bring out at Mountain Creek. Is like it's just not everybody sitting in their rooms. You have structure and you have programs and everything like that.
Right, and we talked about that earlier.
Yeah,
The volunteer programs, the vocational
yeah.
rehab, is really what I have seen that has helped our residents move forward
Mm.
and integrate back into society. We've had residents continue to volunteer at the library. We've had residents take classes. So we have been able to bring them back and move them forward.
Absolutely, very good. And then just going to wrap up in the next 5 minutes here, but then the last pillar is basically finances, and basically when it comes to financing, the goal there is basically to get out of debt and build wealth. However, I want to state, and this is very important, is that success doesn't mean how many dollar signs you have in front of your name or how much money you have in your account. Basically, success is being able to do what you want to do. And in my case, I really pride myself in the fact that if I want to read a book, if I want to have any book where I can walk into a bookstore and buy a book and have the time to read it, which I really enjoy. If your idea about success is that you want to go to a movie every Friday night with a friend and comment on it or whatever that is, if you're doing that and that's what you want to do, then you're successful. If you want to, if you're supporting 5 kids in a developing world or something like that in tragedy, that's what you want to do, then that's what you do. That's the definition of success. So, and that's what the Bright Future program, and that's what they do at Cottages of Mountain Creek, is try to get all this, the whole picture, the whole bright future around in the program. So other than that, I'm just gonna wanted to say to Carol, is there anything you wanted to add, anything profound, words of wisdom, or
Well, I
something you
have
want
two
to share?
things.
Okay.
One, are the finance and budgeting, and that's one of the major things with people living with mental illness as well. They have a tendency to want to spend money, and they're not keeping track, and they'll spend whatever they have available to them. Our program has a budgeting finance part to it, and the residents have learned through our budgeting class, which we do at the cottages, to allocate and with the money that they have, what they're going to buy at the store, and then we take them to the store, we take them to the mall, and they have to stay within their budget. So over the last 6 months, they've learned that if they budget correctly and they have enough money left on Friday, everybody goes out to lunch.
Can I send my wife over to
Yeah.
the cottage? Can I get her in here?
Now, I have one other thing to say. Yesterday at our conference, Bill told my husband that he wanted me to do this blog with him, and my husband Howard said, "Uh-oh, you better prepare her. She's going to have to fix her hair." So last night when Bill told me we would do the blog this morning, I said, "Uh-oh, I have to fix my hair."
Anyways. So listen, so it's been great having you on the program today, Carol. And you know what? I think that it's a top-notch program. I wouldn't put my name involved with it if it wasn't. And like I said, I do coaching and mentoring for some of their clients in the Bright Future program here at Cottages at Mountain Creek. And so I'm going to say goodbye now. And remember, if you want to contact the cottages, or if you want to get a hold of Carol, just send me an email at bmcphee@magpiemags.com. Once again, bmcphee@magpiemags.com, and I will make sure that Carol gets a hold of that email to contact you or can help you in any way. And again, remember, The definition of recovery is when you wouldn't want to be anybody else but who you are today. And remember, there's life after mental illness. Thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you, Bill.
Bye bye.